Good day, everyone. My name is Risa Yosia Sunindio, and today I would like to talk about challenges and benefits of early contractor involvement. Early contractor involvement, or ECI, is a type of project delivery system. It's been introduced for quite some time, but it's still not being used that frequently in the construction industry. So now let's learn a bit more concerning this early contractor involvement and its application in the construction industry. This diagram shows the typical steps in the implementation of early contractor involvement. Preliminary design. So this is the normal process as usual, where the client employs the service of designers to identify project needs and objectives. In this stage, the designers will also develop preliminary design. And then in the second step, interestingly, is to appoint a contractor. So this is still in the design stage. The design is not complete. The client will call for an expression of interest. And then once the contractors or potential contractors submit their expression of interest to participate in the project, the client will evaluate the expressions of interest and select a contractor based on non-cost criteria. Usually, it is based on the quality and the expertise of the contractor. Once the contractor is selected, then the contractor, the client, and the designers will work together to develop the design for the project. From that stage, the design stage, the next step is the tendering stage. So in this stage, the contractor who have collaborated with the client and the designers submits a price for design and construction of the project. After the client receives the price submission or the tender submission from the contractor, then the client has two options. The first one, to remain with the existing contractor. The second one, to tender the project to market. And finally, the last stage, as usual, we have the construction stage, where the selected contractor will continue with the construction stage to build the project based on the design documentation. So this is the process of early contractor involvement, or ECI. The main difference with other procurement methods or other project delivery systems is the involvement of contractor in the design stage. So why ECI? What is the rationale behind ECI? So there are two main reasons. The first one is to develop collaborative relationships between construction players, because in traditional or in more traditional project delivery system, usually there is a conflicting relationship between the client, the designer, and the contractor, in a sense, because they have conflicting agenda. While in ECI, the client, the designer, and the contractor will work together early in the project, and this can facilitate better collaboration among key construction players. And the second reason is constructability. Constructability is about how easy the design of the project can be built. That's the basic meaning of constructability. So by involving the contractor in the design stage, the contractor can provide advice to the client and the design team and ensure that the design can actually be built easily and in a safe manner. So that's the reasons behind the use of ECI in construction projects. We interviewed people who have used ECI before in their projects. So we interviewed both from the client side and also from the contractor side. And the context is public projects. So here are some comments or statements from the interview participants. The first one, early contractor involvement was able to leverage the knowledge and manage the delivery risk by having early conversations with the contractors. So I think this is about the constructability matter I mentioned in the previous slide. By engaging the contractor early, the client can capitalize from the experience and the knowledge of the contractor to ensure that the design has high constructability. The second one, it reduces the risk of tendering in the open market against anyone who can pull together a conforming bid but may not have the experience, expertise, or financial capacity to execute the complex project. The third one, there are mutually beneficial result and save money. So the client and the contractor, in a sense, acknowledge the benefit or the potential benefit of ECI and how it can save money. And the last one, only two parties will be shortlisted to enter the ECI, which is a key driver as tendering is time and cost. So the last statement is actually from the contractor. So they like the to participate in the ECI because the tender process tend to be simpler and it will save time and cost for the contractor when they participate in the tendering process for ECI. We also asked the interview participants their opinion concerning the challenges of implementing ECI. The challenges identified can be classified into 6 categories, as you can see here. And under each category, there is an example of a statement from the interview participants. The first challenge is probity. So probity means acting with integrity, fairness, and honesty. And because the context of this research is public projects, the tendering process is constrained by the rules and regulations of the Government Act. Probity here ensures that no advantage is given to a contractor through a competitive, transparent, and open process. It is understandable, right? Because the government actually uses public funding to build the project. So therefore, the government should be able to generate optimum value from for money when using this public funding. But at the same time, because of this constraint, the collaboration between the client, which is the government, and the contractor can be a bit limited to ensure the probity in the process of the project. The second challenge is changing attitudes because in traditional project delivery system, usually the relationship between the client, the designer, and the contractor is a bit adversarial in nature because obviously each party has its own agenda. While in ECI, they need to come together, they need to collaborate, they need to work together to achieve the same purpose. And this will require those players, those parties to change their attitudes and mindset. The third challenge, time consuming upfront, understandable, right? Because the process in the design stage especially will be longer because there will be more discussions, more workshops between all the parties involved. But in the long run, they should be, in the long run, the use of ECI should have been more advantageous or beneficial for all parties involved. The fourth one, principal project requirements or PPR. So PPR is a kind of guideline on how the project should move forward, and the PPR sometimes can be quite difficult to be developed to guide the relationship between the client, the designer, and the contractor in the ECI process. I think a statement from an interview participant reflects the challenge in this category. You can't spend forever building the perfect PPR. Number 5, organizing workshops in the design stage. Because of the involvement of the contractor, there will be many workshops involving many people as well. So these workshops are extremely important to extract the expertise and knowledge from the contractor to improve the design of the project, which eventually also can improve the constructability of the project. So without organizing effective workshop, then we cannot capitalize from the potential benefits of ECI. And the last one, we have when to involve the contractor. Should the client involve the contractor early in the design stage, or in the middle, or at the end of the design stage? So each has its own advantages and disadvantages. So the client should consider which one is the most feasible one for the project. Finally, we also asked the outcomes of ECI based on the experience of the participants or interview participants. The first one, better collaboration. You can see a statement from a participant there. The collaborative and open communication and working relationship that was developed. So it's true. It's confirmed in a sense that ECI can improve collaboration between the parties involved. The second one, constructability. This is a very important benefit of ECI. Just fundamentally makes sense to involve the contractor early as you can. So the contractor can bring their expertise and knowledge to ensure that the design has good level of constructability. The third outcome, innovation. The contractor is able to bring forward new technology, construction methods, and innovations to the project. Again, by having this kind of collaboration, the contractor can propose new technologies, new approaches, again, to improve the design and to improve the constructability in the project. Cost certainty. Workshops were held on risks and contract terms and conditions to ensure cost certainty. Because of the collaboration between the designers, the client, and the contractors, this can actually improve the quality of the design, and this will lead to cost certainty in the later stages of the project. Better risk management, I think because of the same reason, the collaboration, the additional knowledge from the contractor, this eventually will lead to better risk management. It can, for example, reduce the number of variations in the construction stage, while again, variations obviously have significant impact on the cost and time performance of a project. And the last one, eventually, all these benefits, all these outcomes of ECI can generate high value for money. Just to conclude what we have discussed today, we can see the motives of ECI to develop positive relationships between the client and the contractor, and also to capture contractors' expertise and knowledge to improve the constructability of the project. When it comes to challenges, we have property issue, which should be considered by the client, especially in public projects. Construction players, they need to change their attitudes from adversarial attitudes into more collaborative attitudes. Time consuming upfront, that's another challenge because of a lot of discussions and workshops, and also the needs to call expression of interest from the contractor. So the process is more time consuming upfront, even though at the later stage of the project, this process should be more beneficial for the project and everyone involved. The development of principal project requirements to guide the implementation of ECI is another challenge. Organizing workshops, ensuring that workshops are effective uh, to capture the experience and knowledge of the contractor to improve constructability. And the last one, the client needs to decide when to involve the contractor, early in the design stage, in the middle of the design stage, or at the end of the design stage. The outcomes of ECI: improved collaboration, better constructability. ECI can facilitate innovation. ECI can increase cost certainty because of the collaborative relationship, better risk management, and eventually it can generate better value for money. If you want to learn more concerning ECI and also the challenges and outcomes of ECI, this research actually has been published in the International Journal of Construction Management under the title of Overcoming Challenges of Early Contractor Involvement in Local Government Projects. The authors of this publication is Amelia Farrell and myself. Thank you.